I started out my property journey in my late teens with minus 33 grand, obviously in debt. By 25, I was a net worth millionaire. Here's how I did it. More importantly, here's how you can too. This video is very much in two halves. The first one is going to be more related if you're somebody that wants to generate the funds to build your portfolio. The second half is really about how you can deploy it. Let me tell you about my journey. So I bought my first property when I was at university. I was just wrapping up as a 19, turning 20, and it was number 36 Burdett Street in good old Burnley. If you know the story, it took me about a year to refurbish because I didn't have any money. Went up and down, only to get screwed over by my next door neighbor, Steve. So Steve, kind of my own fault, paid up front for a job. He ended up not doing it, and then it all got nicked. Long and short of it is my kitchen ended up installed in his house. So it was a really good learning though. So I bought this property for £21,800. Now, huge amount of money for me at the time, and I end up sort of begging, borrowing and not stealing, but everything, 500 here, a grand there, pulling it all together. And I bought it for 21,800. Now, the problem is I didn't have any money left. So I worked cash in hands job, and my friend's dad actually bought me this rickety old van, toolbox, and said, on your way. Didn't go to plan. I end up selling it probably about 2 years later and broke even / lost a couple of grand. Not a great start to the millionaire journey. So then I decided, what about rent to rents? If you don't know what a rent to rent is, the most typical is you take a house. Then what we do is we rent out the rooms individually. And then what we do is we take the income from the rooms, pay the landlord on their property, and whatever's left is our profit. Rent to rents are very much sold on the circuit. If you're a beginner, if you've got no money, this could be really good. And I went all in. I got them all from letting agents. I got 14 rent to rent properties. And lo and behold, the educators were full of shit. Shock, horror. They don't quite go to plan. Think logically, if the only reason a lot of them, if they're pre-existing, which is what I got told to target old, like, student rundown things. It's like, these are professional long-term landlords. If they've not been able to do it and rent it out, what's the chance of you being able to do it? So long and short of it, yes, I made 500 per month per property, but actually by the time you took in the fucking late night phone calls, my light bulb in the fridge has gone, fighting with each other because they're young working professionals, not long students, and of course the constant maintenance and upgrades. It really didn't take that much money, and what I realised is I just purchased another bloody job. But it did give me a lot of experience with dealing with agents, dealing with properties, dealing with maintenance, and dealing with tenants, my favourite customers in the world. And if you're a tenant, I love you, somewhat. Anyway, so I exited it. I ended up selling on, but I was going to walk away, and somebody said, why don't you package it on to somebody else? I went, what do you mean by that? So they said, listen, you can actually package on to somebody else. And I thought, right, okay, give it to somebody else. They're decent at what they do. You're clearly shit at that, Jamie. Why don't you make some money? So I packaged it on. I can't remember exactly what I ended up making on this, but we're talking about about 35 grand. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the exact figure and couldn't find it for this video, unfortunately. But between 30 and 40, let's call it 35 grand. And I thought, great, this is a nice bit of startup. So I started looking into deal packaging, and I end up finding that actually I think this could be done. I find an investor that wants to buy a property, I find a property that matches their criteria, and I make money, right? Problem is, nobody really was teaching it correctly. So it was very much finding my feet. And I thought, well, I don't want to, the education, frankly, was pretty shit out there. And I'm not going to name companies. It just wasn't accurate. And most people training in the property space, they used to do it. And so they were teaching me things like, send out a leaflet. It's like, yeah, thank you. That was worth the thousands of pounds on the course, right? Not that it doesn't work. It's just I didn't need a course for that. So then what I end up doing is thinking, okay, well, instead of ploughing this into education mentoring, which if they were great, I would have, I end up buying a brand. So I end up paying, I think it was 15,000 and an ongoing share of revenue for a certain time period of we sell BMV, we sell below market value. Now in hindsight, that's a terrible brand name, but it was ranking, it come with the contacts on there, an investor list on there, all of that. So it really got me started, and all it involved was picking up the phone and starting to talk to people. And it worked. I started making a decent amount of money, but I realized what I hated about it is I was selling the product. So I got this property and then I'd call loads of investors and go, do you want it? Yes. Sold it to an investor, yay, made money. But if it fell out of bed, out of the legal process, for example, which happens quite a lot during properties, obviously, then I've lost the property and I've lost the investor. And so I thought, right, how can I do this the right way? So I then started, and I was making good money, by the way. Like we sell B&V up to like 50 grand a month, something like that. But sometimes we do 100 grand months. But in general, I wanted to change to a service business. And this is where it really started taking off. So instead of selling this specific property, what I realized is that I could go out like with a spear instead of a net. And yes, I'm going to catch less fish, but they're the fish that I really wanted. So I started hunting with the spear, and that involved selling the service. And so this was a hands-free business. So I was going to be able to target different types of people. So not expert property investors that could buy a property from me and then do everything themselves. Instead, I'd be able to work with people like yourselves. Maybe some of you are watching. Maybe it's doctors, dentists, accountants, lawyers, business owners, maybe people in the first couple of years of property, and then do a hands-free portfolio building service. But I charged a fee as the service. So it wasn't you're buying this property from me, it's I will build your portfolio hands-free. And this started going really well. So I started building this up and I got to about $250,000 a month. Pretty good, right? And then I realized that actually I could control the quality a lot better by bringing things in-house. So I started bringing lettings in-house. We've now got a refurb team in-house. We've got brokerage coming in-house and legals in-house. And so we will be the only one-stop shop in the UK for investors. And we're now doing sales of about $500,000 a month. That's not selling property worth that. That's our fees of $500,000 a month. We've got a team of a decent sized team, all right, to be able to facilitate this. Now, the reason I say this is you develop, and the key number one thing, if you're looking to get into property and build your portfolio, is you have to actually have the money. You need to make, then multiply your money. So many people are trying to get involved in property, and then I go, look, you need a minimum of 50 grand, start building a portfolio. They go, I don't have any money. Well, that's where this comes in. So if that's you, person type 1 watching this, put education in the comments. So just to clarify, if you're watching this and you are wanting to do this, you want to make a shed ton of money through property, but you don't have the funds, but you're willing to hustle, you're willing to work, put in 10 hours a week as a minimum, put education in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a link and you can book in a one-to-one strategy call with my education team completely free. The outcome for you, worst case, is you get loads of value and strategic guidance. Best case for both of us, we decide we want to work together, okay? And really make 2024, 2025 and beyond your best years yet. So now that I've made money, and really this is where the portfolio building comes in, I started building my portfolio with boring, vanilla buy-to-let properties. And what was really cool with this is I could be buying properties, putting 50 grand in, and over a 10-year basis, I would triple my investment. We've heard things like bricks and mortar, as safe as houses, right? The reality is this is for type person 2. Building your portfolio is the single best way of making money. Okay, the single best way of multiplying your money. Not stocks and shares, not your ISAs, not your pension, definitely not your pension. Bricks and mortar, boring, vanilla, buy-to-let properties. The downside for a lot of people is they don't have the team in place. You need the legal team, the brokerage for getting your mortgages, getting the property refurbished, getting it managed, and the long-term maintenance and management of that property. But the thing is, I already had everything in place. And so now that I've made the money, I can buy more and more properties. Now, going back to the age of 25, obviously I wasn't making the money that I am now. So across all of my businesses, I'll be touching $1 million a month. Obviously, that's a ridiculous amount of money that most of us we don't need to make that amount, do we? But if I go back to them, actually, I was making six figures, multi-six figures a year, but I was able to buy property. And if you don't know this, on average, property goes up, doubles every 10 years. Is that every area? Is it every year? No and no. You need to get the right properties in the right location with the right tenant type, and you will get a double-digit combined return on an annual basis. If that's you, and you've got 50 grand and you really want to invest this year, but you don't have the time, knowledge or inclination to do it all yourself or the team to make it happen, put APG in the comments below. That stands for Aspire Property Group. APG in the comments below. I'm going to send you another unique link and you can book in with my property investment team. These are senior consultants at Aspire that will be able to give you strategic step-by-step on how you can build your portfolio this year. My selfish aim is that you become a customer and we help build your portfolio. So that's my journey. That's how I've done it. Don't need any frilly stuff. Don't be doing the advanced strategies. Don't be thinking, oh my God, I'm going to quit my job and property, and you're not going to do it. So just to clarify, hopefully this has been of value to you. If it has, please hit that like button. I know it's a unique kind of video, but it really shows my team you got value. If you're new, hit subscribe, okay? Hit the notification bell. I've got some wicked videos coming out just for you. So make sure you're subscribed. Don't jump off. I'll see you in the next video.